again. So I'm still on my road trip with my puppy. He's here sleeping beside me. Last night we stayed in this amazing little hotel in Terry, Montana. It's like a 100-year-old building. It's fantastic. The rooms aren't that big, but you're talking a 100-year-old building. They're just like that. Most of the rooms have like shared bathrooms, but I booked one with my own private bathroom because having Chandler, he would have wigged out every time I left the room to use the bathroom. I know it. So, and it was worth it. It was wonderful. Anyhow, last night I had a dream again. I know I had it once at the Sundance. But even then at the Sundance, it felt like a recurring dream that I just don't remember very often. And here I had it again. And it's one I'm struggling with a little bit. Because in it, Lee and I are together. And for some reason, I keep testing him. And like not setting him up to fail or anything, but things get frustrating between us. And I'm like, fine then, I'm fine. Then go. Like, go. Like, I don't know why I'm like that in these dreams. I know early on when we got together, we did come to a point like that, but I wasn't telling him to go, I was going. My daughter needed a place to stay. She was leaving an abusive relationship and wanted to come to Saskatchewan to start over. And Lee had made it quite clear my children were not welcome in his home. I kind of understand that. First of all, he never had children, so he doesn't understand that bond. Second of all, he had people in town warning him that I was with him for his money and his stuff. I wasn't. He and I sat down very early on, and I told him, like, honestly, from what you know about me, do you believe I'm after you for your stuff? And he was, I don't think so. And I said, well, put it this way, if it doesn't fit in my van, I don't want it. At the time we met, I was traveling a lot, trying to figure out where I belonged. And I had a van, and it was full of my stuff. Clothes, things I was bringing with me. And truthfully, I'm not really kidding when I was saying, if it doesn't fit in my van, I don't want it. Because I couldn't handle everything. Stuff was just too overwhelming to me. And I was with him for him, not his stuff. And eventually he realized I meant it, because for the longest time one time I bought a 4-slice toaster. Really nice little sturdy box, good size. The running joke is it was my sock box. All of my socks fit perfectly in that box, and I could find it. No matter where it was in the car, I could find my sock box. So, yeah, I had a sock box. And even after I moved in, my sock box went on a shelf in the house. And Lee struggled with that for a long time. He wanted me to throw out the box and move into an actual dresser drawer. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, this box has served me so well. It's sturdy. It's fine. To him, it was a sign. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Turn right on Broadway Avenue.
it was a sign that I wasn't gonna stay. I was still.
In 500 meters, turn right on 6th Street East.
Sorry, GPS. I'm traveling home today. To him, it was a sign that I wasn't settling. I was still hanging on to things of living get up and go lifestyle. Yeah, so I completely understand why it caused him concern and stress. Eventually, I did get rid of my sock box, but I gotta tell you, it was funny because it was hard for me to do that. I didn't want to get rid of my sock box. When you find a good box, and when you travel a lot, and you find a good box that serves you
Turn
well,
right on 6th Street East, then turn left.
Hard to part with it, if that makes any sense. Or maybe I just didn't know where I was going or what I was doing in life. All of that. So
turn left on 1st Avenue East.
God, that's a noisy GPS, but when I'm going higher speeds, I need it loud. Anyway, yeah, to me, it was a sense of security that I could always find my
Continue
socks.
on 1st Avenue East.
It may seem silly to most of you, but my feet were always cold all my life. It's only recently with hot flashes that I'm hot. Before that, constantly cold. I wore socks all the time. Sometimes I would wear 2 pairs of socks at night because I'm cold. So knowing I had socks, knowing where they were, that they were easy to find, that I didn't have to fight with things to find them, it made my life a little bit easier in a time when life wasn't easy. So yeah, I had trouble parting with my sock box. Ha ha ha. Anyway, back to what I was saying. My daughter needed a place to stay. And he was, no, absolutely not going to happen. And I tried discussing it with him a few times. And it was still an adamant no way, no how. Well, you know what? It was his home. 100%. That honestly was another issue we had at times. It's his home, not our home. And I always felt like I was pushing my way into his life, which after a while bothered him, me saying that. But this is part of why I would say that. It was his home, and my children weren't welcome, and that really hurt. So I told him, after we discussed it, I tried to figure out how to navigate this. I told him that I have to go. My daughter's about to be homeless in Calgary, and the only way my child is going to be homeless is if I'm living under a bridge with them. If I have a home, my children have a home. And him saying my children didn't have a home meant I didn't have a home. So I needed to go to Calgary and set up a home for my daughter and I. Doesn't mean I didn't love him. I did. But it just meant I have responsibilities I need to take care of. And my kids are at the top of that list. And to this day, I'm still adamant about that. If I have a roof over my head, so do my children. Anyway, I guess he didn't sleep well that night. But he never disturbed me at night when he would be up at night. He was always getting up at night, and I wouldn't know. He even when he got up in the morning to get out of bed, he never woke me up. And he would tell me sometimes at night he would just be awake and watching me sleep, and he'd touch me and my shoulder's cold, and he'd cover me up. And then I would start to overheat and throw the covers off again. But anyway, when I got up in the morning and got ready to go, he said he didn't want me to go. It bothered him too much, the thought that I was leaving. And we didn't know when and if I would come back. So he agreed to let my daughter stay. And Again, we talked about it because I wasn't threatening to leave to manipulate him. That was not it at all. And I needed him to understand that. That wasn't the case. And if that's how he felt, then I wouldn't stay, because that's not right. And he told me he understood. I don't know if he ever really did understand, but he was trying. And for that, I am so incredibly grateful. Literally, it was then I decided to actually finally file for divorce, go through with divorce, because he wanted to get married. And I told him we couldn't get married till I was divorced. And I honestly wasn't going to get divorced. I was in no hurry, because it didn't matter to me. I wasn't ready to get married. But if he was willing to take that kind of a risk for me, then I should be willing to take a risk for him. So yeah, that really was the decision maker. That okay, now I'm getting a full divorce and we're moving ahead. Turns out my daughter only stayed with us for a week and found her own place. And he and my daughter, honestly, they can't live together. They really can't. But he was good to my kids. He really was. If they needed help, he was there. In fact, they wouldn't even ask me sometimes. They would go directly to him and ask for help with things. And he would do it. Like, it wasn't a matter of ask mom to see if I could sweet talk my hubby into doing a little favor for my kids. No, my kids had their own relationship with him. And it was okay. We navigated life and it was okay. Anyway, in this dream, we kept coming up to deal breakers like that. I don't even know what the deal breakers were. But for some reason, it felt like there's no compromise, there's no middle ground. We need to step back. And over and over and over and over. And then one time he would said fine and literally disappeared off the face of the earth after saying that. And somehow I was left with all his stuff and everything to take care of and completely overwhelmed. And I was failing him. I wasn't taking good care of his stuff. And as I realized I couldn't do this alone, I couldn't take care of his things alone, I was failing him. I would call him and he wouldn't answer the phone because he didn't want to talk to me. He was hurt. And then I would call back to leave a voice message and I just wanted to beg him and say, please, can we try? I'm failing. I can't do this alone. I'm failing you. But of course, you know how cell phones work in a dream. Suddenly you can't dial it. And then, for example, in this one, I had the house, a house. More like the house in Estevan than the house in Moose Jaw. But I had the house. And it was being vandalized and the doors were gone. Literally, somebody stole the doors to this house. And people that we knew, both of us knew, were coming to stay with me. And I was so humiliated because the doors were stolen off this house. It had been used as a flop house. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. I mean, everyone was gone. I couldn't clean it up. I couldn't secure it. I couldn't get doors put on. That was the big thing. I couldn't get doors put on. There's a whole thing with the house in Moose Jaw about doors. That's probably why this is coming in. But I couldn't do this. And I was failing him. And everyone who came to stay with me knew it. And they didn't say it, but I could see it in their eyes. And all I wanted to do was cry and beg Lee to come back to me because I needed him. I needed him more than I knew. And of course I wake up and realize he did disappear off the face of the earth in an instant. And I'm not failing him as bad as that dream is portraying, but something in my mind, for some reason I believe I'm failing him. And I don't know why, because I don't believe I am. I'm struggling with certain things, but I'm not failing him. And he didn't leave me by choice. I didn't chase him away like I did in the dream. I know for a fact it absolutely broke his heart to leave me, because he's come and told me that on many occasions. And he's with me all the time. He's on this trip with me. He checks in all the time with me. And then he goes and does what he needs to do. And then he comes back and checks in and travels with me again. And I know he's proud of what I'm accomplishing. I know he is. But that dream, and it's a recurring dream, I'm really struggling with it. Anyway, I'm going to have to keep processing it and see what I can do about fixing it. Okay, the house in Moose Jaw has doors. They haven't gone anywhere. Yes, I'm looking at replacing all 3 exterior doors for certain reasons. And I keep asking contractors. I've been asking for 3 years now. And I'm still spinning my wheels. Every time I ask a contractor, they're, oh no, we can make do with these doors. And I ask them to look into it because every time I get them to look into it, they look into it and find out they can't. So then I say, okay, I've accepted that I need new doors. How can we go about doing this? We could even go to the Restore and buy doors. Tell me what to measure and what I'm looking for. And here I am still feeling kind of lost on that. Anyway, maybe this dream is telling me to get off my butt and just do it. Figure it out for myself. Figure out how to install those doors. Anyway, I know I'm not failing him. And I know he's just on the other side of the veil. And I know he's so proud of everything I'm accomplishing. So why do I keep having this dream? What is unresolved that keeps doing this? It could just be the fact he disappears off the face of the earth and I can never see him or have him hold me again. And it's real. And it hurts so much. And I couldn't save him. I tried. Anyway, told you I would share some about some of the visions I had at Sundance, and that was one of them. Like I say, even when I had it at Sundance, it felt familiar, like a recurring vision. And last night it happened again. Same thing, it felt familiar, it felt recurring. The sense of helplessness did this and made him go. I know I didn't. But in my dream, I made him go. I don't know. I don't know. It just hurts, and it's hard. And I need to keep working through it. Anyhow, that's all for now. It's a long enough video. That's one of the visions, and actually, I think I have to double check my notebook. That might have been the first vision I had that day. Very heavy, full of heavy, hard emotions to carry. Anyway, I'll check in again soon. I'm going to be on the road for a couple more days. My service dogs are going up to the behaviorists in Saskatoon to be assessed. So, lots more driving for me, which is good. It helps my brain process. I love driving. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'm sure I'll check in again.